welcome. I look out and I see so many familiar faces. This is the fifth time I've done this, so some of you are going to hear the same thing you've heard 4 times before, so I apologize. Would you please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'm Larry Hicks, and I currently serve as chairperson for the board. Would like to introduce the other members of our board at this time. Ms. Theresa Locke, Mr. Mickey Bull, Mrs. Tamika Vinson, Mrs. Lynn Ivy. We also have Mrs. Amy Pierce with us. Amy will be reading the questions tonight and sharing some additional information to you. And of course, the most important person on the stage tonight is our finalist, Mrs. Marcy Williams. Ms. Pierce.
Good evening. At this time, I ask you to silence your cell phones. At the conclusion of tonight's interview, we will have a reception in the multipurpose room. Tonight, the Ozark City Board will interview Marsielena Williams. We will start with a short introduction and then move to the questions that the school board has chosen for the finals.
Thank you. Thank you, board, for this opportunity to come in to tell you not only what I've done for Carroll High School, but what I plan to do for Ozark City Schools. And to the community, thank you guys for coming out and support me tonight, and to my family and friends. Oh, sorry. Thank you for coming out as well. My name is Marcy Williams. This is my 26th year in education. I am a 1995 graduate of Carroll High School, and I'm married to Ryan Williams. We have a 10-year-old son, Aiden Williams. I am a former cheer coach, track coach, math teacher, instructional coach, assistant principal, and federal programs director. I bring experience to you from Andalusia City Schools, Queen Anne's County Schools in Maryland, Chatham County Schools in North Carolina, and also Dothan City Schools and Ozark City Schools. I also serve on the Alabama High School Athletic Association Central Board of Control. You will not find another candidate that is more vested in Ozark than me. Thank you.
Looking at our district's system-wide report card, what are the first 3 improvement actions you would take and why?
When I look at our report card, the 3 things that I will focus on is attendance, academic achievement, and academic growth. As you know, COVID caused a lot of schools to run into problems with attendance. And that's been an issue, not only for Ozark, but for many schools throughout the state of Alabama. And that's one of the things that we could be working on here in Ozark. They put into place some procedures already for Ozark, and they're making a difference. However, there's still some things that we could work on here in Ozark. I've already reached out to the judicial system here in Dale County to figure out what we could do to make it more effective and more efficient for our students to start coming to school. This is not only one of those things where it's a student problem, but it's also a community and parent problem, because we need to make sure that our parents understand that it's important for our students to come to school each day, that it's important for students to be at school to learn, because if you're not at school, guess what? You're not learning. And so therefore it is important to be at school daily. The second thing that I would focus on is academic achievement. Because when you look at your academic achievement, that's one of the things that our students can focus on with our ACT, ACAP, and also what we're doing in the classroom. So what our students who are learning in class is important because they have to take the state test. It's not fair that we have state tests that determines what our students were learning. However, it's on the report card, and it makes up 20% of our state report card. So therefore, it is important that our students are learning and the achievement is there. So on March the 10th, we took the ACT here at Carroll High School. And we already saw a difference with our students because they came back and they said that they felt more comfortable taking the ACT. The teachers that were given the test said that our students were writing, and that was a huge difference from last year. So again, the academic achievement is one of the areas that we can show growth in. The third and final is academic growth. Our academic growth actually makes up 25% of the state report card. Again, this is one of those areas where, guess what? If you just show growth on the ACAP from a 1 to 2, there's growth. If you can show growth from the pre-ACT to ACT, that's growth. And that's one of the areas that, believe it or not, we took it to hit this year on the system report card. So therefore, that's one of the areas that we really should be focusing on and actually looking into. At the high school level and the secondary, which is at the middle school and high school, we actually have our instructional coaches. And that's something that instructional coaches are known in elementary schools, but that's one of the areas that we should be focusing on as well, because guess what? Our instructional coaches at the secondary level go into the classroom, work with our teachers, and help strengthen that tier 1 instruction. And that is something that not many schools have the pleasure of having, but we are very lucky to have them here at Ozark City Schools. Ozark City Schools actually had one of the highest scores this year, so we're very impressed with that. However, there's still room to grow, and we know that there's still room to grow because we want that elusive A, and we all know that that's, out there. But the thing is that it's important to bring in people to understand how do you get that A. It comes from, I've met with pastors, I met with our parents, and to explain how do you get our report card score. And what's interesting? A lot of them don't know how we get our report card score. Some of them thought it was like an actual grade, like how the student's behavior, things like that. But that's not it. So it's really important to help your community members understand and know how you get that report card score, because the state's giving it to us, and we know that when you look at the grade that surrounding schools are having, you want to have that A as well. And we're on the way. We're going to get that A. So in conclusion, by focusing on attendance, achievement, and growth, and by continuing to support our teachers with strong professional development, I believe that we can continue improving over the next school year. With a collaborative approach and commitment to continuous improvement, our district can build on its success and address challenges more effectively. Thank you.
Describe your understanding of the financial status of our district and share examples of your past involvement in budget development and ongoing fiscal management.
Well, my understanding of the district's current financial status is that we actually remain at a 3.4 to 3.8 month reserve. And that's based on our most recent financial status that we had at our last board meeting. Maintaining strong reserves is critical for any school system, as it provides stability during uncertain economic periods that allows the districts to build those reserves with strengthened through careful planning and by responsibly utilizing available COVID relief funds, also known as ESSER funds, which allowed us to address immediate needs while also strengthening our long-term financial position. When I was a Federal Programs Director, I was actively involved in that budget development, and I worked very closely with our CSFO, district leadership team, and we worked strategically to maximize available funding sources while maintaining compliance with federal and state guidelines. One example of this work was ensuring that we maximize payroll within allowable funding streams, particularly with our stabilization funds. And that was one of the funds that we were given to help, and that was around COVID when we were given those funds to help have teachers come in and keep the teachers. So that was a stabilization, it was a grant that was given to us. And also by what we did with that was we focused on the management of foundation program units and fractional units at individual schools. So we looked at the different schools and placed the money for teachers to help stabilize that fund. And that's how we were maintaining the money. And that's also how we are able to have the money today that we have in our reserves. By strategically placing higher paid personnel within the foundation program where appropriate, we were able to increase the district's foundation allocation for the following year, strengthening future revenue streams. Also at that time, we were intentional about minimizing our reliance on federal funds for permanent staffing, which help prevent fiscal cliffs when temporary funding sources expire, and collaboration has been central to effective fiscal management. As the federal program director, I also implemented a color-coded budgeting spreadsheet that allowed principals, payroll, and also our CSFO to clearly identify the funding source and expenditures. This tool helped ensure transparency and allowed the leadership team to work collaboratively to make informed financial decisions throughout the year. In addition, I also work closely with the CSFO on capital projects, and this ensured that the facility improvements and infrastructure needs were aligned with available funding and long-term district priorities. Overall, my approach to fiscal leadership centers on transparency, collaboration, and strategic planning. By maintaining strong reserves, aligning resources to student needs, and carefully planning staffing and operational expenditures, we can ensure that the district remains financially stable while continuing to support high-quality education opportunities for our students. Thank you.
As superintendent, describe how you would lead principals, teachers, and staff in maintaining a strong, fair, and consistent discipline system. Then explain measures you would put into place to monitor the system's effectiveness to ensure uniform application across the district.
As superintendent, I would lead principals and teachers and staff in maintaining a strong, fair, and consistent discipline system by ensuring collaboration, clear expectations, and consistent implementation across the district. First, I would bring together all of the principals, assistant principals, our safety director, our district directors, including transportation, CTE, and special education at Eagle Academy, along with our student services director, who also works very closely with our students and staff. And this team would meet to discuss our discipline concerns across the schools. Because guys, we have a problem, and we're seeing this problem just by meeting with the principals today. We're discovering that the discipline is one of the issues that we have here. So in that time, we will ask for each principal to come with their discipline flow chart. And when you bring that flow chart with you, it allows us the opportunity to see where's the consistencies, where are the inconsistencies, what are we doing to make sure that we're all on the same page here. And then we will then discuss and review the discipline procedures that are currently being implemented. While we already have the student handbook that outlines the discipline pathway, this discussion will allow us to identify differences in practice and ensure that every school is applying the discipline policies consistently. Because it's one thing when you have the handbook, but you can look at it, I can say one thing, Mr. Phillips could say something different at DA, and then Ms. Pruitt, it may not apply the same way at the elementary school levels for Mr. Suchman. But the thing is that we all know fair and consistent is the key. And parents, siblings, well, that's not what happened with me, so we got to make sure that we are aware of that because people do talk. We know we have those Facebook warriors out there that like to post things. So following this review, we will work collaboratively to develop a clear and cohesive discipline pathway that will allow schools to follow, and all schools will follow that pathway. And we know that we already have some things in place, but this will also help ensure fairness and consistency for students across the district. It would also be especially important for new administrators or staff members when they come to the district that they understand what we're doing here in Ozark City Schools. So again, making sure that we have something in place that's fair and consistent. Another strategy that I would promote is the expansion of programs that support student leadership and personal development. At the high school level, this is where we will already implement our Fearless Leadership Academy. This is a program for our students, and there are leaders in our school, and it can be not necessarily our Eagle Rep students. These are students who are truly the leaders in the school. Students look up to them, whether good or bad, but there's leaders in our school. They participate in our Fearless Leadership Academy. And this academy actually begins with self-awareness, helping students understand their emotions and personal behaviors. The program then focuses on boundaries and decision-making, teaching students about responsibility and self-advocacy. Students then move to the release phase, where they learn to overcome personal barriers, and that may hold them back. And that's one of the things that we learned here at Carroll, that since I've been here working with the kids. And again, born and raised here, and a lot of times I know their parents, and I'm becoming that person that say, now who's your mama, who's your grandmama, because I know them too. And so it's just one of those things where they get in an argument or they get mad at somebody and they say, but they said something about me. People are going to talk about you all the time, honey. Like I said, that's going to happen. But with the Fearless Leadership Program, it actually teaches them to help navigate how to handle things, not to get upset, not to want to fight just because somebody says something about you. It's okay. So with that, we then go to our next phase, which focuses on embodiment. And this is where students learn how leadership is shown contribution, ending with a half-day experience where students demonstrate leadership growth and impact. Today, our Fearless Leadership team actually went to Dothan, to the harbor, and this was an opportunity for them to give back to the community. And those students went down there today, and we have our two teachers, which is Ms. Simachek and Ms. Campbell, went with them, and they fed the homeless. They went out to the community of Dothan, and this was their service learning project. So it was a really good opportunity and chance for our students to get out, to see something other than Ozark, and to see something different, in that people are having problems, even right there in Dothan, Alabama. So, this program also, like this, improves school culture, and it may be expanded district-wide to help support positive student behavior. At Mixon, I discovered they have a program called AID, which is an alternate behavior education program, and that too is helping students with their self-regulation. So this is a progress that I think that our system is working on, trying to incorporate different things so that you're not sending students to ISS, you're not sending students to OSS, you're not sending students to Eagle Academy at the drop of a hat. So we've got to teach our students so they don't end up in the courthouse and in trouble for other things. So if we start with them here at school, this is an opportunity and a chance for us to do that. So to ensure that our discipline system is applied consistently across the district, several steps should be taken. First, the district leadership team should regularly review discipline data, including the types of infractions, consequences, and suspension rates, to identify patterns or those inconsistencies we just talked about. Second, we would hold regular meetings with administrators to review those procedures and ensure discipline policies are being implemented consistently. Finally, we would gather that feedback from teachers, staff, and administrators to determine whether the system is being fair and also effective. Because that's another thing. Our teachers may think that they write a student up, that something should happen immediately. And a lot of times it does, but sometimes it may not be what you think you're going to get out of it. So making sure that our teachers understand that just because it's not always black and white. So again, making sure that it is fair and effective. By focusing on collaboration, clear expectations, student leadership development, and ongoing data monitoring, the district can maintain a fair, consistent, and effective discipline system that promotes accountability and a positive school culture. Thank you.
In the areas of student achievement, staff retention, and overall district performance, what specific actions would you take as superintendent to strengthen those areas?
You're going to hear me say this a lot, but if I was serving as superintendent, my approach to strengthening student achievement, staff retention, and overall district performance would focus on trust, support, and collaboration. First, I believe it is essential to trust the people we hire to do the job that they were hired to do. Over the past several years, we have lost several faculty members who spent much of their careers serving our district, and many left, not because they wanted to leave, but because they felt their experience and expertise was no longer trusted or valued. When educators feel that their professional judgment is respected, they are more likely to remain committed to the district and continue investing in their students. At the same time, trust does not mean leaving people without support. Strong districts invest in helping staff grow. We trust must ensure teachers and staff have access to great, meaningful, successful professional development and training that helps them improve their practice. Because a lot of times we can go to PD and it's just we sign up to go just because it's a trip out or a way out the classroom, but we really do need to pour into our students. I know we hear say that a lot, but we really do need to be pouring into our administrators, teachers, and staff. Because if not, they're not going to be successful in the classroom. If they're not successful in the classroom, our students will not be successful. So sending them to actual meaningful professional development is key. And we also need to help them to become better at their jobs. So by supporting professional growth is one of the most effective ways to retain high-quality educators. Improving student achievement begins ensuring that teachers have the resources, curriculum knowledge, and instructional support needed to be successful in the classroom. And we talked about that today when we walked around the schools, that a lot of our schools are having issues with some of the resources and things that are needed. And so that was one of the things we discovered today. And one of the things that we need to make sure that our teachers know how to get those resources that they need in the classroom, how to get the textbooks that are needed. So that's another thing that came up. So it's very important that teachers benefit most from training that helps them strengthen their instructional strategies and better meet the needs of their students. So again, by improving the student achievement begins with ensuring that teachers have the things that they are needed in the classroom to be successful. Another critical component is ensuring that strong Tier 1 instruction at every grade level, not just at the elementary grade level, not just at the secondary as far as middle school, but at every grade level. When core instruction is effective, more students succeed without needing those additional interventions. We're spending a lot of money on our intervention teachers. I know that we want more intervention teachers, but when we strengthen that Tier 1 instruction, guess what? You shouldn't need all that intervention is what we're giving our students or having to give them. So to support this, I would encourage structured data meetings, also known as vertical alignment meetings. And those vertical alignment meetings are something that we need to do with our teachers between those key transition times from 2nd to 3rd grade, 4th to 5th, or from 5th to 6th grade, and from 8th to 9th grade. Those vertical alignment meetings, we once had them. We need to bring those back. And so across the school district, not just at the high school level, but all school district. So this will allow the opportunity for students that are being taught, the teachers to talk, to tell you how it's worked in their classroom, what they did to be successful with that student. And that will allow the teachers that's getting them the next year to understand how to teach their student, what to do for that student. Those are some things that we need to incorporate and encourage our teachers to be doing now. It will better prepare the next group of teachers to meet the needs of the incoming students. These conversations build continuity across grade levels and help teachers feel more confident about how to support their students from the very first day of school. Thank you.
When hiring for an administrative position, what specific criteria and forms of evidence would you rely on to ensure the selection of qualified applicants who will be the best long-term fit for the school system's culture, goals, and students?
When hiring for an administrative position, I believe it is important to look at both professional qualifications and cultural fit within the school system and the community. First, I will look at the candidate experience and leadership track record. That includes reviewing their previous roles, their impact on student achievement, school culture, and how they have supported the teachers and students. Evidence such as improved academic outcomes, successful program implementation, and positive school climate data can help demonstrate their effectiveness as a leader. I don't want Ozark to be just a stepping stone for our people coming in and using it to leave. So therefore, we need to make sure that we're growing our own. And so it starts with this situation here. I would also focus heavily on leadership philosophy and how they build those relationships. Through the interview process and the reference checks, I would want to know how they support their teachers, how they work with parents, and how they handle challenges. Strong administrators understand that relationships and trust are critical in a school environment. Finally, cultural fit is extremely important for a district like Ozark. As someone who grew up here and is a product of Ozark City Schools, I know how important the community aspect is. We want administrators who are willing to be involved in the community and truly invest in our students. Ozark has a strong family atmosphere, and we want leaders who will support one another, respect teachers, and genuinely care about our kids. Ultimately, I will look for someone who is willing to be both firm in leadership and compassionate towards students. Someone who will uphold high expectations while also building those relationships. The best long-term fit for Ozark will be someone who wants to be a part of the community and committed to helping our students and schools continue to grow. Thank you.
How would you identify problems with staff morale and turnover? And what immediate and long-term strategies would you put into place to reverse the trend?
I believe that staff morale and turnover are closely connected again to trust and communication. When teachers feel heard, supported, and valued, they are more likely to stay and invest in their school community. I have a teacher that just started this year who's a 2019 graduate of Carroll High School, and I'm so excited to have her this year. She's doing such a great job. And the thing is that she is one of our own. So it's important that we have those teachers that want to be here, because that's what's happening everywhere else. They come, then they end up going to their schools where they went to school because they're invested, and so because they want to be there. We need to make sure that when teachers are trusted, they want to be where they grew up. That's what we're trying to get. We're trying to get our teachers back into our school system. So the first step in addressing low morale is listening. I would create opportunities for teachers and staff to share their concerns through small group conversations and simply being present in schools and talking with people. Often morale drops when staff feel that their voices are not being heard or respected. And over time, that can lead to a loss of trust. Rebuilding that trust starts with leadership being visible and supportive in a positive way. It can't just be showing up to observe and then leaving with criticism. Staff need to see district leaders working alongside them and supporting them. Be present in all of the schools. Go not only just to our core schools such as Lisenby, Nixon, DA, Carroll, also go to the Career Center. That's a school too. Make sure that you're visible over there. They're doing great and wonderful things at the Career Center as well. When leaders are willing to roll up their sleeves and help, it sends a powerful message. As a principal, I've always believed in leading by example. I've covered classes when a teacher was absent. I've even drove a bus route. And that was really fun when the students got on the bus and said, "Ms. Williams, what are you doing? Driving you home today." So that was also an opportunity. So I help when needed. Those moments show staff and leadership that leadership understands the challenges that they face and is willing to step in and help. Long-term improving morale requires consistent communication, transparency, and follow-through. Teachers need to see that their feedback matters and that decisions are made with the best interest of students, staff, and the community in mind. If you go to a school, like I went into a classroom today at Nixon, and they were working on distributed property. I'm a math teacher at heart. It was just really good to see, and I thought it was really good. She needs to hear that. And we weren't in there judging or anything. It was just a really good lesson, and the kids were able to explain. That's what teachers want to hear. They want to get that positive feedback, just a simple, great job, awesome job. We all want that affirmation sometimes. When people feel valued, supported, and trusted, morale improves. And when morale improves, retention and student success follows. Thank you.
Working with a variety of school systems and community groups is part of the superintendent's responsibilities. Provide examples of how you have encountered opposition as an administrator and how you have dealt with these situations.
As an administrator, I understand that important decisions sometimes come with opposition, especially when they affect both the school and the broader community. When those situations arise, I believe it's important to listen to concerns, communicate clearly, and remain focused on what is the best interest of our students and staff. For an example, I once dealt with an incident that created a significant disruption in both the school and the community. The day after the incident, I immediately reached out to my supervisor and local law enforcement to discuss additional safety measures. One of the steps that I proposed was to implement temporary bag checks the weeks following the incident. There was some hesitation and opposition from whether that procedure was even necessary. I listened to their concerns, but I also explained that my responsibility was to ensure that students and staff felt safe returning to school. After that serious disruption, restoring a sense of security is critical for the learning environment. After our discussion, both the supervisor and law enforcement ultimately said that the decision was mine to make. So guess what I did? Based on the circumstances and the need to reassure a school community, I made the decision to move forward with those bag checks. That action helped send a clear message that student and staff safety was our top priority. It also helped rebuild confidence among our staff, students, and families that the school was taking a proactive step to maintain a safe environment. That experience reinforced an important leadership lesson for me. Effective leaders listen to different perspectives and collaborate with key partners, and then they make that informed decision, even when those decisions may not initially be popular. If they are necessary to protect students and support the school community, that's the best thing to do. Thank you.
Do you believe non-academic participation such as fine arts, athletics, and student organizations contribute to the overall development of students? If so, describe ways you would prioritize support and increase engagement in these programs throughout the school system.
Absolutely, I do believe that non-academic activities such as arts, athletics, and student organization play a major role in overall development of students. As a student here at Carroll High School, I was involved myself. I was involved in everything. I was in the school play all 4 years. I was in the band. I participated in JRTC, and I was an Eagle rep. I was also on the yearbook staff. Those experiences helped shape who I am today. They taught me discipline, teamwork, and leadership. They also helped me build friendships and feel connected to my school. I tell students all the time, I loved high school. It was my favorite time. And so it's one of the things where you have to get involved to truly to like school. So I think it's one of those things that as a student, you need to find what you like. And here at Carroll, we have several opportunities for our students to be involved in it doesn't have to be athletics, because I know we do have athletics and we have lots of athletics to be the size school that we have. But we also have other opportunities such as the gaming club. We have a gaming club for our students to get involved in and to work on strategies and play games. And it's really fun because they stay after school once a week and they are really hyped up in Miss Royer's room playing their video games. And so this is just an opportunity for our students to get involved. And that's just one of many things that we offer here at Carroll High School that is non-athletic. And so as an educator, I continue to see the impact of these programs. And I have coached both cheer and track, and I've seen firsthand how being involved can motivate our students to stay engaged in school. When students feel connected through activities, they are more likely to attend, perform better academically, and take pride in their school. Like we had students coming when we had a coach here, workouts at 7:30. Guess what? School doesn't start at 8:15. They were here at 7:15 to work out because it was something that they wanted to do. And so when they get here that early, they're going to stay at school. So they may have been tardy other days, but the days that they were coming to the gym to work out, it was something they were interested in doing. They were able to take a shower and they came to school. So again, this is an opportunity for our students to do something. If I were serving in a leadership role at the district level, prioritizing these programs would mean continuing to support athletics, fine arts, and our student organizations, because they develop not just part of a child, but they develop the whole child. It also means ensuring students across the system have opportunities to participate. Ozark City Schools is very fortunate to offer music programs in all of our schools, which is something many districts our size do not have. This is a great strength. In the future, it would be also great to work towards expanding our art opportunities. I would love to see art in our elementary schools like we do in the middle and high school. And this would be great for our students to be able to access their creative outlets, because currently we do not have a full-time art in the primary and intermediate schools. So ultimately, the goal is to create as many opportunities as possible for students to get involved, find their interests, and feel connected to their school community. Thank you.
Choose 3 adjectives to describe yourself when serving in the role of superintendent and explain your choices.
If I had 3 adjectives to describe myself as superintendent, first one would be dedicated, empathetic, and of course everybody's going to say competitive, because I am very competitive. First, dedicated. I'm someone who would put others' people first. And as I was talking today, I was telling everybody that this does make me nervous, because I'm a behind the scenes type of person. I'm that person that's pushing you, working behind the scenes. I'm a worker bee. I work behind the scenes. Being out in public and out front, that's just not my personality. I say that for Ryan to do for me. So if there is a problem, I work to find a solution, or even connect with the right people. I know how to connect to, if I can't figure it out, hold on, I can call somebody. I'll make sure I know the answer. So that's just my personality when it comes to being dedicated. I believe that leadership means being present, supporting your staff, and doing whatever it takes to help the district move forward. The second word that I would use to describe myself is empathetic, because I'm genuinely care about our students. I'm that person that the students still come to, talk to. I have one that follows me around every day and don't want to go to class. I said, please go to class, I'll walk you to class. But the thing is that they know that I care, and that means something to me. So education is about relationships. I believe that people work harder and trust leadership more when they know that you truly care about them. There will always be times when you have difficult conversations, and they have to happen. But even those moments, I want people to know that those conversations come from a place of wanting what is best for our students and our schools. And finally, competitive. I mean, you know me, so everybody that knows me knows I'm very competitive, for real. I believe in working hard, and I also strive to be the best that we can be. That competitiveness drives me to continually to improve and push our district forward. One thing that I did was that we decided this year to give our freshmen the work keys test. So not only did our juniors take the ACT on March the 10th, but our sophomores took the ACT and our freshmen took the work keys test. And already 28% of our freshmen have already earned a CCR. I went to a PD and discovered that other districts were doing that. So I was like, you know what? I called Ms. Duran at the Career Tech. I said, how can we make this happen here at Carroll? And we've already done that. And so that is just my way, my competitive side, that if they can do it, we can do it better. So I'm going to continue to improve our school report card. I want the schools to be a place where students not only succeed, but also our teachers feel supported, and the entire community can be proud of what we are accomplished together.
As a superintendent, you would need to delegate responsibilities to your team and staff. How would you describe what to delegate and what strategies you would put into place to ensure accountability and follow through without micromanaging?
As superintendent, delegation starts with hiring strong leaders and trusting them to do the jobs that they were selected to do. So in a district like ours, we already have directors who oversee specific areas such as human resources, transportation, technology, student services, mental health, special education, federal programs, nursing, maintenance, and finance through CSFO. Each of those positions has a clear job description and defined responsibilities. And my expectation would be that they would lead their departments effectively. I do not believe in micromanaging people who have been hired because of their expertise. Instead, I believe in setting clear expectations, maintaining an open communication, and providing support when needed. Each school has a principal who is responsible for leading that building. And I believe it is important to trust our principals to manage their schools while also being available to support them. To ensure accountability and follow through, I would implement regular leadership meetings with directors and principals where we would discuss what is happening across the district, review progress on goals, and address any challenges that arise. These meetings would be purposeful and focused on problem solving and collaboration. We're not simply meeting for the sake of a meeting. Another important strategy is being visible in the schools. I believe a superintendent should not lead from behind a desk. I, as principal, actually have a rolling desk, and you can see me down the hallway. Students stop and talk to me. Teachers come and talk to me. It's an opportunity for me to roll into a classroom, for me to stop, communicate. It's even a time for me to see students that keep walking in the hallway, find out where you're supposed to be, what are you doing, what's going on. And that's what I expect as a superintendent. I would be the type of person who would make the priority to spend time in our schools, checking in with the staff and students, and staying connected to the day-to-day, what's happening day-to-day. I don't want to get it secondhand from someone else. I want to be visible within our schools. That presence helps build, again, trust, which provides insight into how things are going and ensures the district leadership stays aligned with the needs of our schools. Ultimately, effective delegation comes down to trust, communication, and clear expectations. When people understand their roles, feel supported, and know that they are trusted to lead, they are more likely to take ownership and ensure that the work gets done well. Thank you.
When administrators, teachers, or parents come to you with concerns or complaints, how do you ensure that they feel heard and understood, even if they may not immediately agree with them?
When administrators, teachers, or parents come to me with concerns, the first thing I do is take the time to truly listen to them. Many times people just want to feel like they're being heard and that their concerns matter. I make sure that I give them my full attention because you can tell when someone is distracted or trying to dismiss you. I have always tried to maintain an open door policy. As a principal, my staff knows that they, and students and parents know they can come talk to me whenever they have a concern. The other day I was trying to have a meeting with Ms. Hardy in my office, and it was like Grand Central Station. She was like, never mind. And so I had to close the door, and then I walk out and there's a long line out the door, and I was like, next. So that's how it is in our building here. I am one of those type of people that if I don't get a chance to talk to you, I follow up, whether it's with a phone call or email as soon as possible. And so that way they know that their concern is important. Even if I do not agree with the complaint, I still believe it is important to listen respectfully and acknowledge their perspective. After hearing them out, I will explain the reasoning behind the decision or situation in a clear and respectful way. Many times people, when they understand the why behind the reasoning, then that helps build understanding, even if they don't fully agree. Ultimately, my goal is to make sure people feel respected, heard, and valued, because strong communication and relationships are essential for a successful school system.
Describe your experiences managing racial issues that may have occurred with students, faculty, and or staff.
I believe it's extremely important that every student, staff member feels respected, valued, and comfortable being who they are. Schools should be places where all students feel they belong and are treated with dignity. Over the years, Ozark, like many communities, has experienced demographic changes, and sometimes those changes can lead to perceptions or narratives about our students that are not always accurate. I believe one of our responsibilities as educators and leaders is to make sure that we focus on the strengths of our students and our schools rather than allowing negative assumptions to define them. In my experience, we had a situation come up where some students were, a race situation came up. And it was brought to my attention, and then what I did was I called in the collection of students and I talked to them. I explained to them our expectations and that we're not going to accept that happening here at Carroll High School. Once that happened, I then put into place sensitivity training for those students to make sure that they understand that that is not acceptable, it won't be accepted, and it will be handled correctly. In my experience, when new teachers, students, or staff come to Carroll High School, one of the first things they say is how impressed they are with our students. Our kids are respectful, hardworking, and capable of great things. That reinforces my belief that sometimes perception does not always match reality. When situations involving race or cultural differences arise, my approach, like I said before, is to address them directly. Ensure open communication and reinforce expectations of that respect for everyone. It is important that students and staff know that discrimination or disrespect will not be tolerated, but it is also important to create opportunities for understanding and dialogue. As leaders, we also must do a better job of telling our positive story of our schools and our students instead of being our biggest critics. We should highlight the success, character, and potential of the young people that we serve. It is my goal to create a school system where every student feels valued, every staff member feels supported, and our community feels proud of the schools that are in our school system. Thank you.
At this time, we'll have an additional question. At the conclusion of your first year as the superintendent of Ozark City Schools, how would you evaluate your success?
I will evaluate my success by staff retention, an increase of staff retention, an increase of enrollment, and a decrease of our chronic absenteeism. Again, as I've stated before, our staff needs to feel that they're trusted and that they trust where they are. They don't want to use Ozark City Schools as a stepping stone. I hear it all the time, especially our elementary schools, where they come, be here for a year, and they leave and go home to their home school. We want to grow our own, and we want to mean that we're growing our own. So we want our teachers to come in Ozark and stay in Ozark. So currently, it comes with trust. Trust not only in our faculty, but trust in also the administrators that we've hired as well. And again, that is when we have our enrollment, the increase of enrollment. Parents will send their students to the school system where they feel that they can trust the people that are in the school system. Therefore, they trust the administrators, they trust the teachers. As I was talking to the board today, my first grade teacher my brother is 14 years older than me. I had the same first grade teacher that he had. And that's not happening anymore in Ozark. So in order to make sure that we have that, retain our teachers, it is important that we build that trust so they want to stay. And that's going to be the key to helping our enrollment increase, because when you know that you're going to have the same teacher the next year, good or bad, because we've had those experiences, we can all think of that one teacher that we may have loved, especially in high school, that we like for whatever reason. But the thing is that you know that we have that teacher. Also attendance, because the thing is that, as I spoken earlier, when we decrease our chronic absenteeism, that's going to increase our student success. So me going ahead and putting in talking to our judicial system here in Ozark or Dale County, putting in those things that need to be in place for our students to, if they're not coming to school, what can we do to get them to come to school? What can we do to make sure that they're there? Because it's happening around the other schools in our district or in the area. We need to make sure that we're doing it for Ozark. So those are the things. And so everything I talked about today is not something that you're going to see in a year, because your report card is a year in the rears. So the things that I put in place and talking about academic achievement, academic growth, you won't see that increase for another 2 years. So I just want to make sure you understand that. But the thing is that as far as enrollment, teacher retention, and decreasing chronic absenteeism, that is something that you can see in a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. That does conclude the formal questions that we have for this evening. Do want to give you some time if you'd like to make some additional comments to the board. I'm going to take the microphone over. If there's anything you would like for us to respond to, we can go back to. Give me 1 second to
Okay.
get over there, if you will. Thank you.
I just want to tell you thank you for this opportunity, and I want to hear from you all as far as what is a big concern that you see in Ozark City Schools.
I think our biggest concern is the faculty retention, and of course, another one is the lack of students retention as well. Students leaving the city or going to county or private schools. And we often discuss what could we do to reverse this trend.
That is it, actually. Thank you. That was the only question I had. Good.
This concludes our interview session. If you will, you're dismissed to the multipurpose room.